This is the Superpowered Mind podcast for inquiring individuals who are tired of the struggle for peace, happiness, and clarity. I'm Claire Diamond, ready to help you explore the principles of the mind, the self, and reality to unlock ultimate mental freedom. This podcast is the one to listen to if you're ready to experience the capabilities of the superpowered mind. Hello, welcome to episode 1 of the Superpowered Mind podcast. And today we're starting with the most fundamental aspect of the origin of existence, which is the nature of the human mind. What is the mind, we're asking today? And it's that question, simple question, which we might not have ever asked, ever inquired into, which unlocks the entire understanding of ourselves, of reality, of existence, of behavior, of relationships, of creativity. Everything begins with that question, what is the mind? And so what is it? Let's start there. So it's very helpful for us to consider the two aspects of the mind, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind, which is really this arena of experience, of attention, in which content is taking place all the time, in which there's this sensory experience of being. There's sight and sound and touch, there's emotions, there's sensations like hunger, there's people coming and going, there's nature, there's behavior being witnessed. All of this is happening within the conscious sphere of existence. This is the content of experience taking place. So there's a consciousness, there's an awareness of this content, of this experience. And that's the conscious mind. What is really interesting for us in this podcast, and this whole podcast is dedicated to unlocking the freedom, potential, sanity, creativity, imagination, ability of the human mind. What is really useful for us to consider is that the conscious mind, that conscious experience of existence, can be highly identified. And by that, I mean it can come from an assumption that, many assumptions that this experience is absolutely real, that there is no role of belief or conditioning taking place in this experience. So this experience of me and this experience of this external, apparently objective, fixed reality is just reality. It's just what's happening. And so the identified mind is a term that we use to describe a believing mind, an unquestioning mind. And at the heart of the identified mind is a belief that what I am is an individual, separate chooser, doer. So there is an individual within this body making decisions, making independent, objective choices. There's an individual in here that should be in control of this experience that's taking place, in control of the emotions that are happening. And that individual exists in a fixed, objective reality. And beliefs have nothing to do with it. Conditioning has nothing to do with it. The identified mind is a mind that takes reality, apparent reality of self and other at face value. So the conscious experience of being can either be believed as absolute reality from an identified mind perspective, no question, just this is what's real, or the conscious experience of being is an ongoing revelation of the conditioning, of the beliefs, of the trauma, the wounds, the associations and meanings that are producing that conscious experience. And already here now we have the gateway to deeply, profoundly understanding the human mind and its true potential. Because when that conscious experience of existence is locked in, identified, there's no question, then that experience will just play out over and over and over again because it's generated from within. There isn't an objective truth to it. It's a projection. It's an ongoing creation from a brilliant mind that is continually, constantly working to run assumptions, run rules, run protocols, make meaning, create stories, all of it revolving around this personal perspective of an unquestioned identity. So that's the conscious mind, either identified or inquiring. The subconscious mind is the realm of unobservable, because it's, until it's conscious, it's not coming into this sphere of observation. So it's underground, it's hidden away. It's this vast, infinite realm in which all experience, all beliefs, all assumptions, all conditioning is held in place throughout the body. It's a boundaryless space. So initially there's the personal subconscious mind, which is the experiences that that individual body mind has undergone. But there's no edges to it, is it? As Jung talks about the collective unconscious, there's no boundaries. It's a fluid, a nebulous space, really, which starts to open up the human body-mind system to ideas and inspiration and creative energy that is not bounded by the personal in any way. So the subconscious is the realm of understanding and conviction and influence that is responsible for creating every element of the conscious experience. And yet, that's just not recognized, is it? It's completely forgotten, really. The subconscious mind is completely ignored in favor of this identified conscious mind, which is operating from the principle of I'm choosing, I'm doing this, I'm in control. But really, if we think about where every element of behavior comes from, every word we speak, every action, every gesture, every inference, it's coming from the subconscious. And science is proving that now. It's proving that parts of the brain are lighting up before there's any conscious awareness of a decision being made. The decision is made, and then the conscious mind becomes aware of it. So we might be sitting in a cafe, and the waiter comes over and says, "Would you like your coffee?" And we say coffee, or and where's that decision come from? The conscious mind, the identified conscious mind, which believes it's an individual chooser, says, I decided, I chose coffee. But that choice was made in infinite centuries ago, really, wasn't it? The choices are the product of everything that's gone before and which is held subconsciously. Even the word coffee, how is the word coffee even being said? The conscious mind thinks I'm speaking, I'm saying this word coffee, but the process of learning how to speak was nothing to do with the conscious mind, nothing to do with any individual making that happen. The baby was continually focused on the lips and tongue, mouth sound of its caregivers, imitating, copying, really tuned in all senses tuned in to how speech was happening. And the base, really my favorite thing to do is watch videos of babies learning how to speak, that absolute focus. and then this mimicry of the sounds. And that's how the word coffee was learned to be pronounced, learned to be spoken, the vocal cords moving, the tongue moving, the cheeks moving. No one is doing that. And this might sound crazy. It goes against everything that the conscious mind is believing. And yet, to start to understand that, to start to recognize there is no one choosing words. There is no one who learned how to speak. Learning to speak happened in the same way that preferences were learned, tendencies were learned. And so that choice that's being made, coffee, is the product of everything that's gone before, including the ability to learn how to hear the question from the waiter. There is no individual deciding how those words are heard. They're just heard. And then a choice is made, a product of the subconscious. If we think about that choice, tea or coffee, if we think about all the data involved in what is that preference in that moment, it's entirely subconscious and there's no one doing it. And into the conscious mind appears this word, coffee. And it looks like the conscious mind is making the decision, but it's not. It's observing the decision. That's all it can do, the conscious mind, is observe. Yet when it's identified, it thinks, I'm doing this. It's identified as a separate individual that is doing all of this. And this is absolutely fundamental. It's so key to understanding what the mind really is, what we really are, what reality really is. And it's absolutely fascinating and so logical, so hidden. It's really the elephant hiding in plain sight. Yet once we start investigating where experience comes from, where behavior comes from, where choices come from, it inevitably leads us to deeply, profoundly question the function of the conscious mind. So the mind is this operation of a vast subconscious realm hidden away that becomes externally visible, externally manifested through form. So through the voice, words, through thought even, it's starting to become more observable in thought, and then in action, behavior, reactions, responses. All of this is indication of what is going on within the subconscious conditioned system. And so that subconscious mind, how it creates the conscious experience of being, is the starting point of understanding the brilliance of the human mind and how that brilliance can be so misunderstood, so confused, that actually all of the attributes, the creativity, the imagination, the conceptualization, the problem solving, the intellect, actually become our downfall. And it's from misunderstanding what the conscious mind is and what the subconscious mind is and what we really are, what reality really is. So this entire podcast is dedicated to resolving that misunderstanding and unlocking the true brilliance of the human mind. And I can't wait to do that with you. Thank you for listening to Superpowered Mind with me, Claire Diamond. If you want extra support in the exploration of your mind, download our exclusive subliminal recording, especially for podcast listeners, on bit.ly/podcast subliminal.